Okay, for this part, we're going to go right back to the kind of fundamentals of animation and look at some bouncing balls. Yeah, so the bouncing ball I think is really important to learn when you start animation, because it teaches so much about kind of animation principles, kind of really kind of neatly within one exercise. So obviously there's squash and stretch in there, but then there's also this idea of adding weight and life to things, and that's really important as we move into other animations, that we understand that we can get this from the bouncing ball. It also teaches us about spacing and how to caricature movement. So this bouncing ball isn't a realistic bouncing ball, it's been exaggerated. And if we look at the spacing within it, you can see how that is done. We're kind of pushing the spacing through extremes, I guess. We're starting off with kind of really small spaces, but then quite quickly we're getting increasing to very large spaces. And you can see I'm really pushing it between these two drawings. Like the distance between them is really extreme. So this is how you would exaggerate the movement. You know, you can naturalistic movement perhaps would be more even, but we can subtly exaggerating it by subtly exaggerating that difference between the spaces. But yeah, another way in which the bouncing ball will apply to our quadruped cycles is by giving them weight. So here I've created some kind of crude walking legs here, but they lack any sense of weight. And life as well, they kind of feel mechanical and sort of inorganic. So if we take our bouncing ball animation and just apply that to the hips, you can see there's a little bouncing ball there, and then here is those legs walking, but now with this up and down movement from the bouncing ball, the Y translation has been copied onto it. And so instantly that gives these legs a lot more weight and a lot more life. And it's also important about when that bouncing ball has been applied. So you can see the down position of the ball is a few frames after this pose here, which is the contact. So the foot contacts the ground, and then, yeah, basically the hips are kind of falling into that pose, and then afterwards the foot is catching the weight of the hips and it reaches its lowest position. So this is kind of, yeah, really important that we'll be looking at our quadruped cycles and trying to identify up and down positions within them. And not just on the hips as well. Here's another example where I'm taking this idea of using ups and downs, and I'm creating sort of bouncing balls for the hips, chest, and head as well, or representations of them. And so, yeah, so this is all about kind of adding offsets between those. So this is, again, another really important tool to how we're going to analyze and recreate our quadruped cycles. We're going to look at the chest, hips, and head as kind of separate masses and see where their ups and down positions are. Okay, let's get going.